Hello friends and foes of Middle-earth, and welcome back. Heroes comes in all sizes and shapes, and in Middle-earth there are many to choose from. But one underappreciated hero that deserves a mentioning is the Old Thrush from the Hobbit. Not only did it play a part in the prophecy that made it possible for Thorin's company to enter Erebor, it was also a close ally of the men of Dale and helped Bard slay Smaug. In fact, Bard wouldn't have been able to kill Smaug without the help of this little hero. So today we will explore the fascinating birds that befriended the men of Dale, the secret allies that often gets overlooked. I've actually rarely heard any Tolkien experts discuss the importance of the Thrushes. Hopefully I'll have a chance to convince you that these tiny birds might have been some of the most important allies of Dale, both before Smaug and possibly afterwards. All we know about the Thrushes come from the Hobbit, so it only feels right to dive into the book. Right after Bilbo had encountered Smaug inside Erebor, he ran out to the dwarves. He was out of breath and could barely retell what had happened. Nearby sat the Old Thrush on a rock listening to what Bilbo was about to say. Bilbo noticed this and threw a rock at the thrush, which merely fluttered aside and came back. "Drat the bird," said Bilbo crossly. "I believe it is listening, and I don't like the look of him." "Leave him alone," said Thorin. "The thrushes are good and friendly. This is a very old bird indeed, and it may be the last left of an ancient breed that used to live about here, tamed to the hands of my father and grandfather. They were a long-lived and magical race, and this might even be one of those that were alive then, a couple of hundreds of years or more ago. The men of Dale used to have the trick of understanding their language, and used them for messengers to fly to the men of the lake and elsewhere." Bilbo thought that no one in Lake Town was still able to understand the language of the Thrushes, but that would prove to be untrue later in the story, when Bard is able to understand the bird and aim for Smaug's weak spot. A cool detail sadly left out from the films. From Thorin's words we learn quite a lot. First, that Thrushes could get hundreds of years old, and that some of them were tame to Thror and Thrain, and most likely also other dwarves. He also describes them as magical, which might be why some of them are able to understand the common tongue. Perhaps a trick from Manwë himself, or perhaps Radagast played a part in the matter, though I find the first more likely. After all, Manwë was the lord of the breath of Arda, and his servants were the winds, airs, and birds. The Thrushes were also used as messengers by the men of Dale and the men of Lake Town, and even the dwarves seem to have been quite familiar with them, though it's not said if dwarves understood them as well. Still, they must have played a vital role in the communication of the lordship of Dale before Smaug's attack. The Old Thrush that helped Bard was unusually large and nearly black with dark spots on its pale yellow breast. Thrushes are usually large speckled brown birds with a special fondness for snails, whose shells they remove by breaking them against stone. The courage of the Old Thrush should not go unmentioned, as we can read in The Hobbit. Suddenly out of the dark, something fluttered to his shoulder. He started, but it was only an old thrush. Unafraid, it perched by his ear, and it brought him news. Marveling, he found he could understand its tongue, for he was of the race of Dale. "Wait, wait," it said to him. "The moon is rising. Look for the hollow of the left breast, as he flies and turns above you." And while Bard paused, in wonder, it told him of tidings up in the mountain, and of all it had heard. Had it not been for the courage of the Old Thrush, Smaug might not have been slain, and who knows what would have happened next. One surprising thing in this passage is that Bard was unaware that he could understand the thrush, so he did not learn it by himself, but it appears to be something he was able to understand because he was of the race of Dale. That could mean that others from Dale was able to understand the Thrushes as well. After the dwarves and Bilbo had escaped from the mountain to Ravenhill, the thrush returned with the news of Smaug's demise. Finding that none of them could understand his speech, the thrush flew back and brought back the raven Roke, who could translate the thrush words. Sadly, we never hear about the thrush afterwards. After Bard was crowned king and was rebuilding Dale, I can't help but think that he would have remembered this unexpected friend in the face of danger, Perhaps he met the Old Thrush again, and if Thorin was wrong and that there were many more Thrushes left, I think it makes sense that the old traditions would have sprung up again. That the men of Dale used the Thrushes as messengers to send far and wide and to get news. During the War of the Ring, King Bran defended the eastern regions of the Kingdom of Dale. At the crossing of the river Red Water, he held his ground. He somehow knew that the Easterlings were coming. Perhaps the Thrushes had been sent as spies and brought back news about the Easterling army. And though Bran lost the battle and fled back to Dale, he might also have sent a Thrush to warn the people of Dale and prepare for a siege. Of course, this is pure speculation, but I can't help but think about how important such a little ally can be in times of war. I hope you learned something new today. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Farewell till we meet again.